it's Jane. Today we're watching 911 Lone Star Season 5, Episode 7, Kiddos. Now, I don't know much about this episode, but I did see that it's going to be TK's 30th birthday, which is hilarious to me because I'm filming this on Tuesday and my birthday is on Wednesday, tomorrow. So it's like a birthday week. Now, I do remember from Season 1, TK's birthday is, I believe, in December. So that means this episode is taking place, this season is currently in December. Whether the show will remember that, I don't know, but it was definitely a flashback to when he was a little kid and it said December and his parents were arguing about his birthday. I also have no idea what year this show is set in because it's his 30th birthday, but is this set a year ago? Is this set 2 years ago? Is this set in the future? I don't know. But yeah, I know that Ronan Rubinstein is born, his birthday was like a few days ago because he is exactly 6 days older than me because we're both born in the same year. And so we're both being 31 and TK's being 30. So yeah, that's why it matters to me. I don't know why it matters to me. It probably doesn't matter to anyone else. Let's go on with the reaction. You can find the unedited version of this reaction. You can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon. Now let's go. I'm very worried about Tommy.
Way too many spiders to pull out of someone's ear.
Jesus Christ.
One
New
spider
fear
is too many to
unlocked.
pull out of
New
someone's
fear
ear.
unlocked.
How did you know they... Surprise! You
Yay!
guys!
Since you're on shift for your 30th, the least I can do is get you a cake.
I love
the red
this.
McLaren. Yep. I can't believe you remembered it. Yep.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Animals! We need to sing first.
Agreed.
Hey! Hey! Whoa.
Interrupting the birthday. Okay.
What the heck, man?
Oh my God.
Gwen certainly has strange taste.
This is Enzo.
TK stepfather. He has a way of swooping in and making everything about him.
Yeah, the
What
way
are you
he
doing
drove
here?
in
I
was
told you
quite
the
like
party's not until
smarmy.
Yes, wish you.
Oh, how is that child so big?
Happy birthday. Well, that is a shame.
Is it
because
TK's present?
It's not my vehicle.
Are you serious?
Yeah? Title's right here.
Showing up and
My God.
making everything about
You
him.
always wanted a McLaren, right?
Red one.
Yeah. See, I feel like that's the difference in parents. Owen remembered the specific car he wanted. Enzo just remembered that he wanted that car. But at the same time, TK has only ever said good things about Enzo. So as much as like the way he drove in just really smarmed me out and was like, no thank you, Gwen, what is your taste in men? Like, Owen has his bad days, but like, what is this? I have to remember that TK has only ever spoke positively about Enzo, so there isn't a reason for me to inherently dislike him instantly, other than the way that he drove in and was like, hello, I'm Enzo, ugh. But he was a good stepdad to TK, and that is what matters.
What do you see down there? Excitement, maybe joy.
I'm here,
Master
actually.
manipulation. And God bless TK. Falls for it every single time, just like his mother did.
Yeah, you know,
I
family
mean-
can be a kick in the...
I will say that I get Owen not liking Enzo, especially because kind of Gwen chose him. I mean, she didn't choose him the first time over Owen, but she sort of was with him over Owen twice. Second time, definitely she was with him over Owen, and Owen was the rebound guy, and that whole mess. I can completely understand Owen not liking him, but as a parent, you've got to think TK has only ever, and even if he is lying to TK, now the thing here is he manipulating him and then letting him down, or is he always wonderful? Because if he's always wonderful, then I don't know if it's manipulation. And the other side of the coin is Gwen, she's not Gwen, is she? Sorry. Gwen is dead. So if he was manipulating TK or only trying to be a great stepdad so that like he could get the woman, he wouldn't be showing up on his birthday. He would be just fucking off. Now, he would just be living his life in New York, and maybe if TK happened to be like, oh hey, I'm coming by, can I see my brother? Then he might be like, yeah, sure. But like the fact that he, you know, the little kid knows who TK is, for one thing, and he came all this way to see him, I would suggest he does care, because otherwise it would have been very easy for him to just cut TK out of his life when Gwyn wasn't around anymore, to be like, excuse me, what are you being mean to my son for? You know? So I mean, you might need to like calm yourself a little bit when it comes to Enzo, as much as I understand your dislike of him. If he's been good to your son, that is a brilliant thing. It doesn't mean TK loves him more than you.
Practically forces TK to sign the title right on the spot. It's sketchy, right?
I mean, it's rich guy stuff.
Maybe, or maybe he's just...
I promise, I won't make a scene. All right?
Oh, he's gonna
You know
make a
how
scene.
important it is to me. No, I know. Why not? I think it'd be good to break bread and maybe clear the air before your big party.
Okay.
Does sound like a good
That
idea.
would be amazing, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
See you.
I'm so intrigued because Owen, like, his level of worry about Enzo and jealousy that's clearly there, is it often with this show, especially with lots of shows, that is he going to turn out to be right? Does Enzo have some kind of angle incoming here and like lavishing attention? But I don't know what that angle would be, so we'll see.
You think that's a good idea?
It's a great idea.
I mean, it's better than
TK can see that I can take the high road.
it's better than whatever's going to no doubt
I'll
happen
rub it in Enzo's
happening
face.
at his party.
That's why I'm calling. I don't want anyone else to get
Oh
hurt.
God.
Anyone else? Isla, are you thinking about hurting yourself?
I'm already congenital blindness. I just found out I've got it 3 weeks before finishing my residency as a pediatric neurosurgeon.
Okay, I understand why you think
I
your
can't
life is
imagine what a
over.
shock that would be.
I'm so sorry.
But I'll be gone before that happens.
Fire 126, you need to hurry, I'm losing her.
I mean, if Wyatt knows something about an unexpected disability, but like, he's still quite a baby dispatcher. I feel like maybe he should be like someone like often like when it was a big call, Grace would have like the boss coming over and like standing over her shoulder, even though she'd been doing it for like 1,000 years. Like I feel like this is someone literally like he's talking as it's like this. No one should ever have to feel like this woman is feeling, and no one should be have to like try and know what the right thing is to say to stop her from jumping. But like I feel like he should have the supervisor like with him so that she can like listen, and if he says something that's wrong, she can kind of cut in, or she can be like, oh, you know.
Isla, I know it's really hard right now.
Because I've sacrificed every relationship in my life for this
Then there
dream.
will be people in the future
help
whose
kids.
lives will be empty because you aren't in it.
Now
I
that's
promise.
gone. Wyatt, you...
Wait, can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah. About him.
Story?
About somebody who went through something. There were days where I was thinking about doing exactly what you're thinking
I'm
about
sure
doing.
there were, sweetheart.
That if you stick it out, you can transform all that love and all that struggle into something.
Okay, I'm getting down.
Oh God. It honestly, like, thank God, it sounds like she kind of needed someone, like, part of possibly, as much as I do think, like, her wanting to get them to close the road down so she didn't hurt anyone makes sense. I also feel like maybe part of why she called 911 was because she was somewhere deep inside, she was crying out for help for someone to stop her. Come on, 126.
We got you. Don't let go.
Thank you, 126.
Hey, 126 on scene. She's safe.
Thank God.
Well done, Wyatt.
Can you put her on? Your story isn't over, Isla.
It isn't, my love.
This is just the beginning.
We had a cancellation tomorrow, but I know that's.
I'll take that one.
I mean,
Are you sure?
how far away is the 15th? Because if it's like a week or two, like, I completely understand it. Get it out of me. Like, I do it now. Because the longer you wait, the worse it is. But I also don't think Tommy is thinking or processing. She's just 700 steam train ahead. That doesn't make sense, but...
Wanna make any... Tomorrow's good.
Jesus. I mean, I understand, like, get it done.
This is on Sunday. What am I gonna do?
Mia, don't worry about it. I can resize it.
Really?
No,
Absolutely.
Tommy.
Mama's got you.
Not right now, you don't. You're going to be recovering from brutal surgery and preparing for chemo or radiation or whatever. But
Thank you, Mom.
you should tell the girls this is happening.
Hey, Nancy.
Not doing any of that stuff.
You
We're having
can't,
surgery
Tommy.
tomorrow. It is an outpatient procedure.
I mean,
The doctor said
barely.
that you could be sore as hell. I gave birth to twins. I think I can handle
Tommy
it.
is just
So you're not
running
planning
from the
any
seriousness of
sick
this. She's in
leave?
fucking denial, isn't
It's
she?
just not. I've got a lot of people depending on me, and
I
for now,
know.
I would just really appreciate it if you kept this to yourself.
I know, Tommy, but you've got people depending on you, which is why you have to look after yourself. It's why you have to take this seriously. It's why you have to do everything possible to minimize the damage to your body and to protect yourself.
I will cross that bridge when I come to it.
Tommy, she is running from this, and I understand, but it's heartbreaking.
Come on in. Hey,
Carlos, love the Stetson.
Hey, Carlos has just fully embraced like 24/7 Ranger Man.
Twice
It's
in
so
1
funny.
week. You right.
Jonah, not on the sofa.
See what I mean? Oh, this is for you.
Because I love this, that like even when they're traveling, even when he's on holiday essentially, not at work somewhere, he has a nanny for his child. Rich people stuff. I mean, I know that you have nannies that like live in or whatever, but like right now it is just you and Jonah on the road. You could be a dad, you could look after your child, or you could hire someone else to.
Maybe we'll be seeing a lot more of each other, eh?
Enzo
Well,
does
I can
give
only
off
dream.
bad vibes. And I'm just
So,
trying to remind
the
myself
bottom
that
of the
TK
last
has
inning,
only ever
the
spoke
batter
glowingly
pumps
of the
it sky
man.
high to short. He had a true environmentalist in the making.
Yes. I knew that years before when I took him camping in Yellowstone.
The air was so clean, I wanted to breathe it in and
This is
never let
not
go.
a who knows TK better competition.
Can you imagine what Mom would say if she saw all of us at dinner together?
She'd be really happy.
Well, she'd never believe it.
After last time.
What happened last time?
Let's not go there,
decided
I
to
think.
get into arm wrestling.
So who won?
Carlos!
It was a draw. Sure.
Oh god.
Absolutely.
It's TK's birthday week. This might even be his birthday night, essentially. Like, celebrate your son.
You know, there's a way we can settle
stepson.
this right now.
You really do not
I'm
have
so
to do
sorry,
this.
TK.
Now I'm curious.
Carlos! You're a bad influence.
Alright, first one.
Because, like, whatever happens here, they're not. Whoever loses is not taken as well.
Okay. 3,
Gwyn has a
2,
type.
1. You've proven your point. Now, please stop.
Nope. Not until he says, Uncle.
Enzo, it's okay. Just let go.
No can do. Get
He's a firefighter. You're like a stockbroker sleazy man.
Enzo, are you okay?
The only thing hurt is his ego.
Holy fucking shit. I'm so sorry, TK.
That really helped things.
I mean, they were both as bad as each other. Not just Owen, but...
What?
But you finished it, Dad. You were way out of line.
I mean, Enzo had just been like, actually, you didn't win last time because you didn't press my hand down against the table. And then Owen was like, yeah, I didn't want to, like, break your wrist. And then he was like, no, actually, I think you'll find that, you got fatigued. So, like, I am kind of Team Owen. I think he and Enzo were being idiots. Little men having a dick measuring contest instead of just being there for their son and stepson. But they were both dicks. Enzo should have been like, okay, yeah, sure, you're stronger than me. You know? Owen's a fucking firefighter. Enzo works in, like, finance. I would expect one of them to be stronger than the other.
You really arranged.
Pretty good job of that yourself tonight. You know he's actually a great guy. You just never cared to actually get to know him.
I mean, that is what it seems like.
He's the reason I became a firefighter in the first place.
No, I'm
Oh,
the reason you
fuck.
became a firefighter.
No, you're the reason why I almost didn't become a firefighter, Dad.
TK, I think that's enough.
No, he needs to hear this.
Happy
I
birthday!
had so much resentment for the years that you were gone.
I mean, that
But from
does
8
make
to 18,
sense.
Enzo was there. He also always told me to show you grace, and that's what I expect you to show him. Make peace with Enzo, or do not come to my party.
I mean, this does make sense, because something that has always felt slightly off, not slightly off to me, but like it didn't fully jive together, is that even a phrase? Was like in the early seasons, it was like, oh, TK became a firefighter to be like his dad. But then he's also like, oh, you know, when they're talking about, is it when the decision about him becoming a paramedic? Or when Owen says, like, I'll finally be a father. No, oh, I'm about to become a father, as though he isn't already. Something like that. And TK's like, oh, you know, yeah, I knew what you were doing, but I wanted a dad. Like, there were times where he would have rather had a dad than his dad be an amazing firefighter. And so that does make sense. Him kind of, I'd kind of seen it as more him following his dad because he'd always admired what his dad was doing, regardless of anything. But the resentment being there doesn't feel out of nowhere, because I think that has been present and has made itself known at times. It's just as TK got older, he did understand. And the idea that Enzo actually helped him to understand that is huge. And as much as, like, I really not particularly liked Enzo during his screen time. He's been quite, like, icky to me. Every time he's come up, it has been as a wonderful stepfather. And for TK to never say anything bad about him would suggest that he has been a genuine stepfather. Because if TK was like, I mean, yeah, he has his bad days, but on a good, I mean, then you'd think, oh, okay, he's just, but Owen is just jealous. And now another thing is that if there was overlap in their relationships, then I would be like, yeah, fuck Enzo forever. Fuck Gwyn too. But there isn't. We know she broke up with Owen the first time, and yet it wasn't super long afterwards, but it was once they were broken up. Like, TK was 7. He was 8. I shouldn't know how old he was when they... I think it was since he was 7. He was 7 when they got divorced, because he says at one point, I've wanted us to be a family since I was 7 or something. So, like, yes, it wasn't a long time after Owen and Gwyn split up, but it was after. So the marriage was over when Enzo came on the picture. And yes, Gwyn getting into a serious relationship with Enzo is like the final nail in the divorce coffin. She's not coming back. She's not going to realize it was a mistake. But you can't blame Enzo for that. But I also think it's fully human for Owen to have this kind of resentment towards Enzo. Oh, Tommy, you should not be going through this with just
you were
Nancy.
straining your neck. No. And he said that he's looking to pick up any shifts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he would take a few personal days.
Nancy.
Look, Tommy.
No.
It's good
No, the
even
man
if...
is a walking Napoleon complex.
Even if you're convinced you're going to be fine after this, even if you're convinced you're going to walk away from this surgery feeling good as new and get to go to work and have nothing happen, it's good to know there is a fallback plan if you don't. I mean, realistically, I don't think she's going to be fine to go back to work. But even if Tommy wants to live in this world where this isn't that serious, it's not that big of a deal, it's just a little surgery, in and out, everything's going to go back to normal, that she can do that if that's what her brain needs right now. But I think when the inevitability crashes down upon her, knowing the safety net is there is going to be important.
I would never.
When my mom had chemo, you know, they told her to expect maybe 1 to 2 days of nausea, and she ended up in the ICU for
And I understand why
week.
Nancy is being overbearing with it because of what she experienced.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Miss Vega, how are we
Nancy
feeling
knows
today?
what she means. Because Tommy has kind of stepped into a motherly role with her paramedics, but Nancy knows that you just meant it's not going to happen the same way.
Cav, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
She should not be out. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming it's the next day or the day after or something. The shift wasn't the very, like, but you shouldn't be out of bed. You should be resting after surgery like that.
Are you bleeding? Sure, it's the best idea to be on shift. You're a day out of surgery.
Nancy, walk.
Tommy, Nancy's right.
So why don't you want to come down?
Because, I'm afraid of heights.
Climb pretty high for a guy who's afraid of heights.
I was looking up the whole time, man. I never died.
Owen's gonna see how dedicated a stepdad can be.
Because Rory wanted her kite back. I just want that little girl to think I'm Superman, you know?
I get it. Well,
like
you're
Enzo.
being sure that you're better than Superman.
He's my mom's boyfriend.
Oh.
He's better than my dad. My dad's never around. Will always is.
Ouch.
I think it's abdominal compartment syndrome.
Someone make sure the baby can't see.
The tissues in your stomach.
Will!
Hey,
Oh. She loves you. She's gonna be like, you can marry my mommy, I want to be a family.
Okay, you can marry my mom. We can be a family. But only if you don't die.
Exactly, Tommy, we can be a family only if you don't die.
I love you, kid.
I knew that was how it was gonna happen and I'm very happy about it. Jesus Christ, when I turned 30, I just sat home and cried. Like, I just watched TV with my mum.
We're almost here and we still don't
I
have a spot.
really missed out.
TK? I wasn't.
I think what the little girl said, as much as it kind of reminded him of what TK said and probably hurt a bit, I think it was also a case of realizing that there was a time when Owen wasn't there for TK and it wasn't his fault per se. It was his mental health, it was everything that he was going on in his life, but he wasn't able to be the most present dad, and there was somebody there in TK's life filling that role for him. So hopefully, like, I feel like that's kind of what the conversation with the little girl, instead of stabbing the knife in harder, it made him kind of picture TK at a small age like that, being thankful that there was someone there for him and realizing that there was a time when Owen wasn't able to be, but somebody was.
You didn't have to.
I mean, I know it's a party and he wants his friends to have a good time, but I feel like this should be a sober party. I mean, not because TK's tempted or anything, more out of just like caring about him, solidarity.
Yes. No. Yes. 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 Yes.
I'm so happy.
You know what? A little birdie told me. Okay.
And it is hard to see your kid celebrating something that he didn't share with you, but someone shared this with him. He had this. He wasn't alone. And that's good. It's hard to know that someone else, that you're not always in your child's life, but having someone be there for him is better than him being without it. Yeah.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Who are half of these people, but...
Can't do this without you. Come on.
Hey, TK has lost so much. I'm happy for TK. You're missing Grace. That was quite ominous. Judd drinking as everything silences out. Are they making peace, having this lovely memory with their third son? What the fuck?
That Enzo de la Costa
Jesus
is on
Christ.
the premises. We're here to arrest him.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I was worried you'd say that.
Oh, I'm sorry, TK. God, if you knew this was coming down over your head, you should have fucking stayed away from his birthday. TK can never have anything nice. I'm angry about it.
He signed it over as a form of asset concealment. No wonder he wanted to transfer the title over so quick.
So,
anything from him?
Owen was
No,
right.
Still being processed.
So I suppose if this is the
They're
first
saying
time he's
it's a
let TK
multi-billion
down,
dollar fraud. My head around how the Enzo that I thought I knew could do something like this. I mean,
is
I thought he was a
Owen
good person,
gonna be the one to help him
He is.
see that Enzo's not all bad?
I hope he suffers the consequences, but
He was there for you.
he also raised you. And that's what a good person does.
Yeah, Enzo did play a big role.
You were my
So
dad.
did you, Dad. I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you.
Exactly.
You literally saved me. Because you never gave up on me.
You're still his dad.
Yeah, you've never been the perfect dad, but I love you very much.
I love you too.
I wanted more Owen and TK. I'm happy. Okay, well, my immediate thought is, what's happening with Jonah? I know what shows like to do in these moments.
What are you doing? Spilling tea about a man with my little girls.
Maybe your kids, but we're not your baby girls. Yeah, we're
You
13.
are always going to be their baby girls. Her baby girls.
And
Mom?
This is why I wanted her. I can't remember whether I paused and said this or not, but I was thinking it that part of why she needed to tell the girls is so that if something goes wrong, if she's not feeling well abruptly, I didn't necessarily think, I mean, is she about to faint or something? I didn't think that would happen. But if she came home from the hospital feeling worse and needing to rest, so they would know. But also I know it's such an impossible thing. I remember when my mum had cancer, my parents told me like the last possible step each step of the way, like, oh, it might, like, there's a lump, it might be cancer, it's probably not, we'll get it checked out. Okay, it is cancer, but it's only this minor thing. Okay, well, it's actually a bit more, like, kind of, because they were trying to protect me, and, you know, I don't feel any negative way about that, but they needed to be known, and they're old enough to be told something. I was 13 as well, or 14?
I think I just.
God, I don't remember how old I was. See, this is why you tell them so that they have a bit more of a warning. Oh, baby girls.
Something's wrong with her, Mom. She fell down and...
Unlock the front door for the paramedics.
Okay, she's doing it.
Good. Now,
Tommy
Evie,
was just
I want
trying
you
to
check your mom's
protect
pulse
them
for
and
me.
trying
You wanna
to
take a pulse?
avoid
she's
it.
got us. Okay.
Avoid
Okay, I'm
dealing
doing
with
it.
the reality
Do
of
you
this.
feel anything?
I don't think so.
Put your ear next to her nostrils and mouth.
These poor babies.
Do you hear anything or feel any air coming out?
Mom, come on. Wake up. She opened her eyes.
Good, very good.
She's breathing.
I'm calling my dad. Yeah, he's gonna meet you girls at the hospital. Girls, you just saved...
So, by the way, my dad's Judd Ryder. I'm not calling a random strange man to meet you at the hospital. Sorry, I think my brain needed to latch onto something that was silly. Otherwise, I was gonna like properly start bawling because, like, oh, I'm quiet. Sorry, my darling. They don't know who you are.
Girls, you just saved your mom's life.
You did, my
She's gonna be
love.
so proud of you.
That she's gonna be all right.
Yeah, they gave her some blood thinners. They're gonna hold her for a couple nights for observation, but they said that the worst part's behind her.
Okay, that's good.
Tommy should have been resting. I love this family, but they hurt me when they scare me.
What was due to overexertion?
It's gonna happen to anybody. It's not your
I
fault.
love this so much because you try so hard to make someone take care of themselves and to push them to take care of themselves, and then when they don't, and then they suffer the consequences, you're never going to be like, I told you so. You're always going to be like, well, of course you couldn't have known. It would never, like, because you love them and you know that Tommy wasn't being obstinate and willful because she thought it would be funny. She was doing it because her brain couldn't comprehend how scary the word cancer is and how that was applying to her and her body right now, because that is a terrifying thing to go through, and in her position as well, when you think, I'm all my girls have. I understand why she was doing what she was doing, and just hopefully now she'll take it more seriously.
I haven't even gotten to the hard part yet.
This is the beginning of the hard part, exactly.
Walk away from the 126.
For health time.
It might be for a long time.
I get it.
I hate this so much.
Take all the time that you
Like,
need.
I believe she should, and that is the correct decision to do. To be honest, I think Owen should have done it in the first season. But at the same time, like, as a viewer, I'm like, this is the final season, and I want Tommy and Nancy and DK. Is that, I don't know. But at the same time, obviously, realistically, for Tommy, yes, walk away right
And the
now.
good news is,
Nancy.
I want you.
me, Captain. What kind of drugs did they have you on? I'm not ready for that.
You are?
If this would like to make you acting paramedic captain of 126.
I support this so much.
I'm honored. Terrified?
And that is good, yep.
Now I know you're ready.
So is it going to be just Nancy and TK, or are they going to get a different paramedic? Happy birthday, TK. What a chill episode. No, so yeah, like, whoa. We finally met Enzo, and he did give me the ick, which isn't even a saying. I mean, I have to accept now, this is just a saying I use. I don't really like the phrase giving the ick, but I use it at the time. Like, the whole way through, he just, every time he was on screen, he was a little bit that sort of smarmy, flashy. I'm like, when the FBI stormed in, I was like, it's gotta be for Enzo for, like, evil money man reasons. And it was. You know, it was that or a swatting call of some kind. So, like, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised when I found out that he thought they might say that and still came to his stepson's birthday. Your stepdad of the year. Which annoys me slightly in the sense that, like I was saying in the reaction, TK has only ever said good things about Enzo. And from what we knew of Gwyn, she wouldn't have... Would she have been with someone like Enzo? I mean, Owen is a bit of an idiot too. And Owen is, I guess, a little bit kind of... He's a lot in how he is, which is similar to Enzo. Maybe she liked him because he was different from Owen in a lot of ways, but I guess you're supposed to think the crime stuff happened more recently, like the last couple of years. Or at the very least, Gwyn didn't know about it if it happened sooner. But poor TK, like, he can't fucking have anything. Like, he was finally having a nice time on his birthday, finally happy that for the first time in his entire life, his stepdad and his dad were getting on, and he was able to have this beautiful memory with the two of them. And then the second he has that moment, fucking FBI come in. Enzo, like, it was an interesting character because I like the actor, like, it's not him by any means, but the character was just so... You got why Owen didn't like him, but then you also knew that from Owen, there was a lot of jealousy. And I really actually enjoyed that it took a little bit of TK saying some home truths, but also Owen went to another stepfather, but Owen able to realise that there will always be a part of him that is jealous of Enzo, that is jealous of any moment Enzo got to spend with TK that Owen didn't. Because when you're a parent and you love your kid, the idea that someone else can fill your role is a really hard thing to deal with and a really hard thing to cope with. But then the flip side of that is that there was a time when Owen wasn't able to fill his role. There was a time when Owen's mental health and things like that meant that he was not there for TK and somebody else was. You know, I mean, yes, Gwyn would have been as well, but she also had a very busy job. I mean, it sounds like all three of TK's parents have busy, important people jobs. But there was somebody in TK's life to fill the void his father left. And that doesn't mean as a kid, TK would be like, I don't care about my dad. I don't want my dad. I've got Enzo. It just means that there was somebody there to do those things with TK when Owen wasn't able to. And that is really important. And as much as, like, it clearly was, it can be hard to comprehend and be happy that someone else was a better parent for your kid when you weren't able to be. It's just such a win that TK had that parent. Now, my question is this the first time Enzo has sort of strung TK along a bit and then let him down? Or have there been other instances of this that Owen has witnessed, but if he were to say, that was actually a bit shit what Enzo just did, TK, Gwyn, anybody would be like, oh my god, you're so fucking jealous. Like, or was this the biggest time? Because whatever this criminal financial conspiracy he was involved in was happening, and, like, he gave him the car to sign, like, not as a get, as like a yeah, hiding assets rather than as like a genuine gesture. And even turning up for the party, like, why? You could have just not come and not ruined his birthday. He'd hear about it the day after his party. Um, but I do think Enzo does care about TK. And now my other question is, how in contact have they been since Gwyn died? Do they talk to each other regularly? Or is it only really sporadically? And that would suggest that he cared about TK more as an extension of the relationship with Gwyn rather than because he actually cared. But regardless, he was a good dad to TK, it would seem. It wasn't like TK was like, oh, there was that time when I was 15 and he was gonna do this. And then, so I liked seeing Owen come to that realization. And without much prompting. Like, yes, TK kind of said some home truths to him, but Owen was able to work through what TK said, and instead of spiraling about that, like I think season 1 or 2, Owen, if TK had said, I almost didn't become a firefighter because I was angry at you, he would have been spiraling about that and been like, oh my god, TK hates me, I'm a terrible father, oh, woe is me, kind of, but his mental health has improved. He has faced a lot of dark traumas from his past and things like that, and he's able to instead reassess things and reassess what he always thought was a given, which is that Enzo is the worst man on the planet, and able to look at it as actually Enzo really gave his family something they needed when they needed it. And so I enjoyed that TK said, oh, Enzo was actually the one that helped me to see that you weren't a bad guy or a bad dad, that you just got lost in a dark place for a while, but that you were still there for me and you were still a good dad. And that in this moment when TK is like, I don't think I even knew who Enzo was, like, whoa, like how could the person I thought he was, a good person, do this? And Owen's like, well, yeah, maybe he has done some bad things and maybe he is a bad person, but he was still that good person to you, he was still there in your life. Now, if I was TK, I don't think I'd want overly much to do with Enzo going forwards. But like, I'd maybe, depending on like just how bad what he did was. But I like that we had the flip side of Owen defending Enzo and helping TK stop spiraling into losing him there. Now, my big question mark here is Jonah. He has a nanny. Will Enzo, I mean, how long is Enzo going to be in prison for? Will he just pay for a nanny? Are we going to have a situation where Carlos and TK are expected to raise Jonah? Which, again, wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. It could probably be quite an interesting plot line, but it's also not necessarily the way I wanted them to confront the are we going to have kids conversation, because like last season that was quite a tricky thing to watch them going through because they both had such strong feelings about it, and at the end of the day the conclusion I came to was they may well not have kids, but was the fact that Carlos's main reason for not wanting them wasn't because he didn't want them, it was because he didn't think he would be a good dad, and he was mixed up about his relationship with his own father, and so he thought he would pass that on rather than I don't want kids. And like, I have friends who don't want kids, and it's not because of any relationship with their parents, they just don't want them, and that is 1000% valid. And so is Carlos's reason, don't get me wrong, and I would hate TK if he ever were to be pressuring Carlos into let's adopt a kid, let's have a kid, let's use a surrogate, like let's get a kid, let's get a family. Like, I would hate him for pressuring Carlos about that too. But I also feel like the reason Carlos had for not wanting them is something that with therapy, with talking about it, with discussing the prospect of kids with TK just naturally, with seeing how much TK does want them, would be more of a thing where he would come around to agreeing that he also wants them, and not just for TK's sake, but because he would realize his reason for not wanting them was holding him back from something good rather than a reason that was just he didn't want them, if that makes sense. So I kind of in my head have always thought they would have children, but they're like 30. Yeah, plenty of people have kids way younger, but they have time, especially as men. They have time. They're not in a rush. It's not a race. They have a good few years, and they'll still be not ancient parents. But Jonah coming, and I might be babbling on about this, and it's not even going to be a thing, but Jonah, if he doesn't, it depends if Enzo has like parents, but then they'd be quite old. If they are Jonah's like next of kin, then I feel like that's not really. That's not TK forcing Carlos into it. That's more like there is a child that needs us right now. Like in the same way that if one of Carlos's sisters who has kids were to pass away and Carlos was the only possible person who could take the kid in, I think he would. But I feel like I don't necessarily want them to get a kid in that way, because I feel like it kind of takes away from them making this decision themselves, if that makes sense. Plus, as terrible as this is going to sound, and it is terrible, I want their focus of these last episodes on them to be on each other and together and not on a child. Which is so horrible and not how I feel in the real world. And if we were going to have seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I mean, this is season 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10, I would feel less strongly about that. But there's like not many episodes left, and I want their priorities to be each other or not a child. And I might be babbling on about this, and literally Jonah's never going to get mentioned ever again. But I feel like he might. And there was a line Owen said about being there for a kid that needs them or something. That's what a good person does. That had me thinking like, TK's a good person. So we will see. We will see. They'll have to get a new apartment though, right? Because their lovely loft is not big enough for a kid. Well, it doesn't have a bedroom for a kid mainly. Otherwise, it probably would be plenty big enough. I had a moment of very real worry for Judd. It was a very subtle moment that I assume they're going to pick back up on, which was at the party. He was downing with alcohol, and the music faded and everything faded, and he was just sat alone knocking back a drink. And I feel like he's not doing okay. He misses Grace. He's not okay right now that Grace isn't here. And again, I know why Grace isn't here, and I feel like they should have just fucking sorted out whatever the problem was, and we could have had her here, but regardless of that, their reason for her not being here doesn't make sense now, because she would come back to be there for Tommy. She would come back to be there for Tommy and the girls right now. I know she's off to be doing charity work and helping people elsewhere in the world, but you don't help other, like, when your own people need you, and there are other people doing this charity work. It's not like if Grace leaves that, it will stop. It won't function. It won't happen. Like, she could very easily come back and help Tommy. And I think her character would come back. I would have rather had it be one of her sisters was having some kind of a medical issue and they live in New York, so Grace has to be in New York because she's looking after her sister or something, and then you wouldn't be able to drop one relative, like one family member, essentially, relative who's in need to help a different one. You'd be like, well, I'm stuck here, but give Tommy my best, you know? But regardless, I am worried about Judd. Then we have Tommy, and I just want to give her the biggest hug, very, very gently from one side, because this episode, it was almost frustrating to watch her, but it wasn't actually frustrating because you knew what she was going through and why she was going through it. From the very beginning, she was kind of like, oh, well, it's just an in and out procedure, and you're just and she was running from the truth. She was running from accepting that this is a very scary thing that was happening to her, a very real thing that was happening to her. And I think that is such a normal human response. Your brain can't deal with and process just how big this thing that is happening to you is. So it's not happening, I'm running away from it. And it was going to have a negative consequence. I hoped it wouldn't be passing out in front of her daughters, or dying in front of her daughters eventually, but I was worried that there would be a consequence. And I think deep down, Tommy knew it too, but she just could not face it. And I think even more than the average person, cancer is not easy for whoever you are, but for her, looking at how she's all her daughters have, and that realization that, like, I am their only parent, they are only 13, I cannot do this, was part of the reason why she couldn't. And like, she loves her job, she loves helping people, she's the captain, she's got a team that need her, that family. I completely understand why she was pushing it all away. I completely understand why she wasn't facing it and was just acting as though everything was going to magically be fine, even though it was really heartbreaking to watch. And my main takeaway was she should have told her daughters first, before the surgery. Because there was a chance that the surgery would get a little bit complicated and she'd need to spend time overnight. Like, you can never be certain with these things. And there was a good chance she'd be feeling out of it and problems like that afterwards. So for the girls to be forewarned that mummy's not feeling well, she's like, you know, obviously telling any kid, I mean, this sounds really dumb, but I don't remember how old I was when my mum had cancer, because like, it's a huge part of my life. Like, it really affected me, but how old I was does not stick to me. I was 13 or 14. But I couldn't tell you which. So I was around the girl's age, and like, I don't think I even fully processed it at the time. Like, you get told this information and you're like, I just got home from school, what the fuck? But like, I don't think I fully, like, I think if it were happening, please don't touch wood now, I would feel it a lot more strongly than I did as a kid, because as a kid, it's such a big thing to grasp. But they could be told, and they probably should be told, in case something like this happens. Because yes, obviously it wouldn't, them knowing wouldn't necessarily have stopped this from happening, but they would have been more prepared. Not prepared, but less completely and utterly shocked and traumatized as it happened. More just quite shocked and traumatized. I don't know. And obviously they reached like, I think another reason why I thought she had to tell them was because she obviously was going to need to tell them. Like Nancy was saying, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, whatever which she has, it's going to be obvious that something's wrong, and so you need to prepare them. So I'm glad they know. I'm glad Judd knows, and I'm assuming, given that she's stepping back from the 126, everybody is going to know. But it is really hard to accept limitations on yourself, and to accept that you can't do what you wanted to do before because your body's randomly betraying you. And I'm glad she's not alone, and I'm glad that she's prioritizing herself and her health, because I know that isn't necessarily easy for her to do, but she's been quite like whacked over the head with the realization that she needs to prioritize those things. And my heart just absolutely shattered for those little girls. That moment when like she collapsed and they were on the phone to 911 and having to give her rescue breaths, and just they did so well and they were so brave and strong, and I just want to give them the biggest hugs and say like well done, because I can't even imagine what they were going through. And yeah, the 126 is going to be weird without Tommy, because like when I go back and I rewatch the show, I almost get a jump scare when Michelle is the paramedic captain. I'm like, who is this woman? What are you doing here? Where's Tommy? But I mean, all seriousness, all jokes aside, like they are a family unit. And what I'm interested about is, will it be, because Tommy's on medical leave, will it be just TK and Nancy? Because in like other paramedic-y shows, there are only 2 paramedics. Or will they have replacements in? And if so, who? I don't like change. I have no idea, and obviously I'll find out, I assume, next week, because it could just be the 2 of them. Maybe Tommy's on a temporary medical leave, but I would imagine like I think in the immediate aftermath of Tim's death, which Tommy isn't dead, but you know, in the immediate aftermath of Tim's death, I feel like it was just the 2 of them until they then began the work of replacing him. We will find out. So my heart breaks for everyone involved, for Tommy, for her girls, just biggest hugs, please. And also Wyatt did amazingly with that caller. I think he was lucky that she was kind of calling out for help, that she hadn't passed that point in a lot of ways, because I think there is always the danger with the people that they are just going to be too far gone, lost to their depressive spiral to get through to. But she called for help, and like, yeah, she called for help to close the road, but she could have picked somewhere that didn't have a road to jump. You know, she could have found somewhere else, but she called for help, and he was able to give her that help, and remind her that there was some hope, that I can't imagine what she's going through, but that she can get through this. So yeah, for like TK's birthday episode, this is quite a brutal episode. I mean, this season is proving pretty brutal. I adore this show and these characters so very, very much. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.